อรุณสวัสดิ์ทุกท่านในห้อง Infinity Ballroom โรงแรมภู
So, a very good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to King Power Hotel, and also our online audience for the live broadcast, both from YouTube and Facebook, from the OIC page. Welcome, everyone. For those of you who drive to the venue, please do not forget to stamp your parking tickets. And I would like to invite you to join us at the photo booth at the foyer in front of the meeting room. We also have the slow-mo video for you to download your videos, and you can post it on your reels. It will be a short video clips where you can post it on your social media. We also have the exposition about the OIC, including our mission and our backgrounds, and also the advanced insurance industrial institution, and about the insurance community, which is the key objectives for OIC this year. So I would like to invite you to, if you have time, please stop by the OIC's exposition, the general insurance and the life insurance associations, and also the digital agencies. And for those of you who post your pictures on the social media, please do not forget to add the hashtag IIS 2025. Once again, hashtag IIS 2025. Share your reels, share your pictures, and add the hashtag. And send a message to everyone. For our online participants, please have a look at your devices and the internet. Make sure you have enough battery and memory because we have a really packed schedule today. If you are using Zoom to join us, please set your name using your real name and real surname. We will start the OIC International Insurance Symposium 2025 will start shortly, and I will see you in a few minutes.
ทุกท่านครับ
Ladies and gentlemen, before we start the International Insurance Symposium 2025, or the 11th International Insurance Symposium, I would like to invite everyone to stand up and observe a moment in silence in remembrance of Queen Sirikit, the Queen Mother, for a minute.
ขอบพระคุณครับ ขอเชิญทุกท่าน
Thank you. Please be seated. Mr. Chuchat Pramoonphol, Secretary General of the Office of the Insurance Commission, or OIC, Deputy Secretary General, distinguished experts, the executive of the OIC, and business sector and speakers and all the press here, as well as those who are watching live stream today on YouTube and Facebook of the Office of Insurance Commission. I'm Lek Monchai Wong Kiti Graiwan. I'm honored to be the MC and moderator today, and I would like to welcome everyone to our International Insurance Symposium 2025. So this year, it is held in a hybrid format, online and on-site. And for International Insurance Symposium 2025, this is a continuation of the mission of the OIC to regulate and promote the Thai insurance system so that we can adapt and also can develop our business to stability and sustainability. And this is a combination of all distinguished guests from the insurance sector, and the concept of the work today is collaborative intelligence, building the insurance community for the future of insurance. So this is the theme of today's event, and so there is this one word that is a very powerful word which we will be listening to, which is the word insurance community. So what is insurance community? You may observe that this is a very important policy of the OIC to drive forward the insurance sector to networks and to exchange knowledge so that we can drive forward our insurance business in Thailand under the 5th National Insurance Development Plan 2026 to 2030. All distinguished guests, so that in order to understand our symposium today and to understand the word insurance community better, please together watch this video.
อะไรคือพลังที่ทำให้อุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยเติบโต เทคโนโลยีที่ก้าวหน้า ฐานะการเงินที่เข้มแข็งหรือกฎระเบียบที่มีประสิทธิภาพทุกองค์ประกอบล้วนมีความสำคัญและต่างเป็นฟันเฟืองที่ขับเคลื่อนระบบประกันภัยให้เดินหน้าแต่กลไกที่จะทำให้ฟันเฟืองทั้งหมดหมุนไปในทิศทางเดียวกันและผลักดันอุตสาหกรรมให้เติบโตอย่างแท้จริงคือความร่วมมือของทุกภาคส่วนมาร่วมสร้างร่วมเชื่อมและร่วมขับเคลื่อนอนาคตของอุตสาหกรรมไปด้วยกันจึงเป็นที่มาของแนวนโยบายการขับเคลื่อนให้เกิด Insurance Community การสร้างเครือข่ายให้ทุกภาคส่วนได้แลกเปลี่ยนความรู้ความคิดเห็นเพื่อร่วมกันผลักดันอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยไทย ซึ่งเป็นกลยุทธ์สำคัญภายใต้แผนพัฒนาการประกันภัยฉบับที่ 5 พศ 2569 ถึง 2573 โดยสถาบันวิทยาการประกันภัยระดับสูงจะเป็นหน่วยงานหลักในการขับเคลื่อนให้เกิด Insurance Community ภายใต้ 3 ภารกิจคือ 1. การพัฒนางานวิจัยเครือข่ายวิชาการและแหล่งความรู้ด้านการประกันภัย R&D Collaboration ส่งเสริมงานวิจัยด้านประกันภัยพัฒนาและเชื่อมโยงฐานข้อมูลวิชาการและนวัตกรรมให้ทุนวิจัยสนับสนุนสถาบันการศึกษา 2. การสร้างบุคลากรประกันภัยคุณภาพ OIC Academy and Knowledge Center พัฒนาองค์ความรู้ให้กับบุคลากรในอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยองค์กรภาครัฐภาคเอกชนและสถาบันการศึกษาส่งเสริมมาตรฐานวิชาชีพในอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยพัฒนาหลักสูตรด้านประกันภัย 3. การส่งเสริมนวัตกรรมและเทคโนโลยีด้านการประกันภัย CIT Innovation Center พัฒนานวัตกรรมและทดลองเทคโนโลยีใหม่ๆด้านการประกันภัยส่งเสริมและสนับสนุน InsurTech Startup รวมถึง Ecosystem ที่เหมาะสมทั้งหมดนี้คือหัวใจของ Insurance Community ที่คปภ.มุ่งสร้างให้เป็นรูปธรรมในปีที่ผ่านมาสำนักงานคปภ.ได้วางรากฐานดำเนินการหลายมาตรการอาทิการผลักดันศูนย์ส่งเสริมเทคโนโลยีด้านการประกันภัยหรือศูนย์ CIT ให้เป็นศูนย์กลางการพัฒนานวัตกรรมและเครือข่ายเชื่อมโยงแลกเปลี่ยนความรู้และเทคโนโลยีด้านการประกันภัยทั้งการจัดงาน InsurTech Summit งานสัมมนาด้านเทคโนโลยีประกันภัยสำคัญของไทยการจัดประกวด OIC InsurTech Award เวทีในการสร้างและแสดงผลงานรวมถึงการพัฒนา OIC Connect เป็นซุปเปอร์แอปด้านการประกันภัยเชื่อมโยงบริการและข้อมูลด้านประกันภัยเพื่อให้อุตสาหกรรมและประชาชนได้ใช้ประโยชน์อย่างเต็มประสิทธิภาพการพัฒนาศักยภาพยกระดับความรู้และมาตรฐานวิชาชีพประกันภัยโดยได้จัดบรรยายสัมมนาและจัดอบรมหลักสูตรต่างๆที่น่าสนใจเช่นหลักสูตรวิทยาการประกันภัยระดับสูงหรือวปสหลักสูตรสุดยอดวิทยาการประกันภัยระดับสูงหรือซุปเปอร์วปสหลักสูตรพัฒนาบุคลากรประกันชีวิตนานาชาติหรือ ALIP ซึ่งจัดขึ้นเป็นครั้งแรกในปีนี้หลักสูตรสำหรับผู้กำกับดูแลธุรกิจประกันภัย Insurance Supervisory Curriculum รวมถึงร่วมมือกับหน่วยงานที่เกี่ยวข้องในการพัฒนาและส่งเสริมมาตรฐานวิชาชีพในอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยอีกมาตรการที่สำคัญคือการสร้างเครือข่ายความร่วมมือด้านวิชาการด้านการประกันภัยร่วมกับสถาบันการศึกษาหน่วยงานวิจัยและสมาคมต่างๆทั้งในและต่างประเทศโดย Thailand Insurance Symposium เป็นเวทีสำคัญในการแลกเปลี่ยนและเผยแพร่ผลงานวิชาการและงานวิจัยรวมถึงแลกเปลี่ยนมุมมองและแนวโน้มสำคัญในอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยผลงานเหล่านี้คือจุดเริ่มต้นของ Insurance Community ที่กำลังก้าวสู่ระดับนานาชาติโดยวิสัยทัศน์นี้เองจึงเกิดงาน International Insurance Symposium 2025 เวทีที่ต่อยอดจากความสำเร็จของ Thailand Insurance Symposium ซึ่งจัดอย่างต่อเนื่องจนเป็นสัญลักษณ์ของความร่วมมือในอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยไทยเพื่อส่งเสริมนวัตกรรมเทคโนโลยีและนโยบายด้านประกันภัยและในปีนี้กำหนดการของงาน International Insurance Symposium 2025 ภายใต้ทีม Collaborative Intelligence Building the Insurance Communityสะท้อนแนวคิดของการผสานพลังระหว่างองค์ความรู้เทคโนโลยีและนวัตกรรมเพื่อสร้าง Insurance Community ที่แข็งแรงและเชื่อมโยงและผลักดันประเทศไทยสู่บทบาท Hub of Insurance ในระดับสากลงานนี้เป็นเวทีที่รวมองค์ความรู้และมุมมองสำคัญจากหลากหลายสาขาที่เกี่ยวข้องกับระบบประกันภัยตั้งแต่แนวโน้มเศรษฐกิจโลกความเสี่ยงสมัยใหม่เทคโนโลยี AI และข้อมูลรวมถึงการนำเสนอผลงานจากภาคธุรกิจนักวิชาการกลุ่มสตาร์ทอัพรุ่นใหม่และนักศึกษาหลักสูตรซุปเปอร์วปสและวปสในงานนี้จะถ่ายทอดให้เห็นว่าอุตสาหกรรมประกันภัยไทยกำลังก้าวสู่การพัฒนาที่อาศัยพลังของความร่วมมือมากกว่าที่เคยทั้งหมดนี้คือสิ่งที่กำลังจะเกิดขึ้นในงานปีนี้เวทีที่จะเป็นมากกว่าการประชุมแต่เป็นพื้นที่ในการต่อยอดความร่วมมือและสร้างเครือข่ายประกันภัยไทยให้เติบโตอย่างมั่นคงและยั่งยืนและวันนี้เรากำลังจะเริ่มต้นไปด้วยกัน
ขอเสียงปรบมือให้กับ Insurance Community ด้วยครับ
So please give a back hand to the insurance community
ไม่มีใครก้าวเดินใน
and no one can walk alone we have to work together as a network in the industry, and that's why we hold this International Insurance Symposium 2025. And moving on, I would like you to meet an important person behind this event today. I would like to invite Dr. Nirat Saptwi Tham, the Assistant Secretary General of the Advanced Insurance Institute, please.
เรียนท่านเลขาธิการคณะกรรมการกำกับ
The Secretary General of the OIC and the Deputy Secretary General and the Executive and of the OIC, and as well as executive and all the press and media team. Me as the organizer of the International Insurance Symposium 2025, I would like to thank the Secretary General Chuchat Pramunphon to chair over this symposium. And the objective of this is that there are 5 objectives, and the first one is we would like to create the body of knowledge and understanding about insurance risk management, as well as the change and dynamics in society and economics, and that would actually influence our business sector. And secondly, we would like the participants to listen to the experiences from the experts, both inside and outside of our country, on insurance risk management and also the business-related landscape. And the third one is that this acts as the forum to exchange knowledge and listen to different views and opinions. And this is from the knowledge from the speaker, from the country, and also from abroad, so that we can plan our insurance work forward. And fourth, we can utilize the knowledge, especially the academic works on insurance and research and technology, and apply it in the regulation of insurance business and develop our sector forward. And lastly, this is to build the network, as the video has shown you, that we would like to create an insurance community in Thailand as well as in other countries, and we want to collaborate to ensure that the insurance business in the country is sustainable and can grow. And in this event, it's actually the first year which we elevated from National Insurance Symposium to International Insurance Symposiums under the theme of collaborative intelligence, building the insurance community for the future of insurance. So this is to be in line with the changing context in the society, be it the context of AI and super aging society, and the change in the climate. As we just had experience, we had catastrophe risk, we had disaster, and also there's a trend of well-being and of the people, and this is also a very important trend which all sectors put importance to. And this year we have 2-day event. The first day we are honored by the domestic and international experts who are a part of the network of OIC and the business sector. They are here to give presentations to us. And the second day we will hear about the research findings that has been done in the insurance sector, and this will be presented to you all on the works that can be used to scale up the insurance work in terms of the regulation side, and as well as on how to grow our industry. And as Kun Monchai has already said, there are participants who are on site and online. We have around 400 plus participants online, both domestic and international participants, and we are honored by the ASEAN regulators as well who are participating today. And we also will hear from different life assurance and general assurance businesses from here and abroad as well participating. And so I would like to invite the Secretary General Chuchat Pramunphon of the OIC to be the chair presiding over the opening ceremony of this International Insurance Symposium 2025. So please, Kun Chuchat. So with our gratefulness to the royalties, so I would like to have this moment to remember the Queen Mother Sirikit. Although she has passed away, but the insurance sector and OIC has always been grateful for the benefit that she has given to our country. So the Deputy Secretary General, experts, and also Assistant Secretary General, and also the President of the Thai Life Assurance Association, the President of the Thai General Insurance Association, Executive of the TGIA, and greetings to Kun Oran, and also Dr. Tapassanan, the President of the Thai Insurance Broker Association. So, greetings to Kun Paw, and also Dr. Acharin. Greetings to you, and also distinguished guests and the media and press. I'm very honored to address the opening remarks for International Insurance Symposium 2025, OIC IIS 2025, organized by the Advanced Insurance Institute. And so this is the organization to share knowledge on insurance related sector so that we can advance our insurance work. And this year the OIC has elevated ourselves to become an insurance community. This is not just a structural change, but a paradigm shift from the Knowledge Transfer Institute to a shared learning ecosystem. This connects all stakeholders, including the Thai General Insurance Association, Thai Life Assurance Association, insurance company, insurance firm, insurtech firms, and academic institutions, foreign regulatory bodies, as well as the network of students from the advanced insurance program and super advanced insurance program, who are critical forces driving systematic change. So to make the insurance community concept a tangible reality, this year event is held under the theme Collaborative Intelligence, Building the Insurance Community for the Future of the Insurance. This symposium gathers the multi-dimensional knowledge spanning the global economy, emerging threats, AI and big data technology, the development of the next generation insurance products, sustainability, and disaster management. Yesterday, I went on the ground together with the Prime Minister in Songkhla, in Hat Yai district, and we had to prepare seriously regarding this because this is inevitable, and the speakers that we invited are world-class experts from Swiss Re, WTW, Aon, PwC, Baker McKenzie, as long as distinguished experts from leading domestic universities, TDRI, and various specialists who are graciously accepting our invitation today. I believe that throughout these 2 days, the participants will gain in-depth knowledge, new concepts, and case studies that can be adapted and applied, whether it is designing digital age products, tackling medical inflation, or connecting big data for disaster risk management, or observing the innovative works from the super advanced insurance program. And in the past year, we championed several important projects, such as the program called AILP. This push forwards the role of Thailand to become the center of insurance excellence for ASEAN. We want to expand our network. We are now working with Japan, China, and South Korea next year. So this is an elevation of international collaboration to provide service to the public. We also develop InsurMall Thailand so that people can access insurance products and reliable information sources. We have special campaign between the 8th to 14th December. This is to enhance awareness and usage of the people. And we have OIC Gateway as well that has been continuously developed.
โดยมี
There are many users and we have different functions like My Policy. This compiles all the policies from different companies and it can be displayed in one page and they can see the expiration date and also the protection and all the related information. And so the My Policy project that I talked about, if you remember, during the COVID-19 time, people come and inquire through OIC Gateway and the system has collapsed. And so same with the incident that happened to the 9 southern provinces where there's flood. We had inquiries from the people quite a lot and there are policy papers and documents in the house and in their cars which has been disappeared because of the flooding. And so with this OIC Gateway, this actually serves really good service for the public. And so this is another innovation that proves that technological development is not just in the seminars or meetings, but it actually is being provided to the public during disasters. And this is a very important foundation to enhance our insurance community. And so this will lead to several important outcomes, developing well-rounded personnel research that is practically applicable, promoting the use of AI, blockchain, enhancing public confidence in the insurance system, building international cooperation networks to exchange knowledge, experience, and Thailand. This will enhance our roles as the hub of insurance of the region. And so with strong business sector, quality personnel, excellence, research, modern innovation, and international network, Thailand will move toward becoming the regional center of insurance. Distinguished guests, the creation of insurance community is not the mission of the OIC or the institute alone. It is the collaboration among all of us within the insurance system. This symposium is a vital starting point for collectively building a vision, connecting knowledge,
แข็งแกร่ง
and pushing the Thai insurance industry to advance, grow together, and be internationally competitive. I hope you gain knowledge, inspiration, and a new network connections from this event and join together as part of this insurance community to grow and thrive sustainably. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. The Secretary General of the OIC, Kun Chuchat Pramunpon. So please remain on the stage so that we can have an opening ceremony. And I would like to invite the executives to also join us with the opening ceremony of the International Insurance Symposium 2025 under the concept of collaborative intelligence, building the insurance community for the future of insurance. So I would like to invite all executives here, Kun Nusara Asakun Banyat Piyapot, the President of the Thai Life Assurance Association. And Dr. Pongpanuk Bamrong Siri, the Executive of the Thai General Insurance Association. Kun Prapaporn Likhasit, the President of the Thai Association of Insurance and Financial Advisors. Kun Napassanan Panipa, the President of Thai Insurance Brokers Association. And Kun Nitipong Pratyanimit, the President of Society of Actuaries of Thailand.
ทุกท่านจะเป็น
So everyone is the representative of the collaboration of the insurance industry. So you are the key holder of this industry to unlock us to the better step in the future to create a better future for the insurance industry. And for this opening ceremony, I would like to ask all the executives on the stage and as well as the Secretary General of the OIC, press the button at the back, and 6 of you will be divided into the right hand side and the left hand side. You have to face each other to create an insurance community. The 3 on the right hand side will use your left hand to touch the screen, and the 3 on the left hand side, you have to use your right hand to press the button. And so I think you all are ready for the opening ceremony. So I would like to count down. Are we all ready? Please count with me. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So please turn around and touch the button. And please face here in front of the stage. And this is a great opening of International Insurance Symposium 2025. I'd like to thank all of you for coming together today. And I'd like to invite the 6 executives in front of the stage. Please step forward 3 steps to have a photo op together. So the International Insurance Symposium opening ceremony has begun. And all the impressions, all these photos that we have, I would like to ask you all to share these moments on social media. So the press, I think they have their photos, and so I'd like to invite more executives for the second photo op. I would like to invite the Deputy Secretary General and also distinguished experts on the stage, please. And I'd like to invite Kun Olan Wongsurapichet, the Secretary of the Thai General Insurance Association, please. Kun Anon Wangwasu, the Advisor to Executive Director, Thai General Insurance Association, please. And the Assistant Secretary General of the Advanced Insurance Institute, as well as senior distinguished experts, to be on the stage for a photo op, please. So this is the picture of a great collaboration that we have for the event today, which is considered the key for insurance industry. We're here together to unlock and ensure that we move forward to a strong insurance industry in the future. Thank you in advance to all the media team for disseminating and sharing about this event, the International Insurance Symposium today. Today we got a lot of traction from the media, and thank you so much. And I would like to invite all the executives to take a photo together with all the participants. Please be in front of the sofa. We will take a photo from the angle of the front of the stage, and I would like all the participants to stand up so that we can have a photo together with the Secretary General of the OIC, as well as the executives from different organizations in the insurance sector in this International Insurance Symposium 2025.
ต้องขอบพระคุณทุกท่านอย่างยิ่งเลยนะครับ
I would like to thank everyone for being a part and coming together to build the insurance community. We have the insurance businesses and also regulators and relevant agencies as well as the press. I would like to thank you all for sharing about International Insurance Symposium 2025 today.
เดี๋ยวมีกล้องนี้นะครับกล้องนี้ภาพเคลื่อนไหวครับทุกท่านครับภาพเคลื่อนไหวครับ
And also we have this camera right here. We will record a video. So that's it. Thank you so much, and you can be seated right now. Thank you so much, everyone. So the opening ceremony today has already finished and begun, and so moving on, I'd like to invite you for a 10-minute break. 10-minute break, and then we'll come back later. We will hear the presentation on global insurance markets, economic drivers, and growth potential in 2026, which for those who would like to hear the Thai translation, you can contact the registration table for the translation headset. Today we are honored by Kun Winitan, Team Lead, Client Underwriting from PNC Re-Swiss Re-Asia. And for those who would like to get your headset to listen to the Thai translation, please contact the registration table. And moving on, we would have a lecture on biodiversity, health and insurance, the triple connection shaping our future by the Assistant Professor Dr. Wacharapong Hong Jamrat Sin from the Department of Marine Science, Faculty of Science, Chulalongkorn University. And so during the break, we have a slow motion photo booth which you can actually go and take your slow motion video and you can post it on your social media. And please also include the hashtag IIS 2025 as well. Please hashtag your post IIS 2025, and the organizer will go and compile all the photos and videos posted so that we can disseminate it later on. And please don't forget the hashtag IIS 2025. We'll meet again in 10 minutes.
4, 5. Hello, hello.
ขอเสียงปรบมือจากท่าน
A big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the symposium, and thank you very much. Welcome back to the International Insurance Symposium 2025, and I am Lek Kun Chai once again. Welcome back to the first keynote. And the first topic, we are honored to have an expert from PNC Swiss Re Insurance Asia, and the topic is how the growth potential in 2026 global insurance markets outlook. We would love to know what's happening in the world amidst of disruption and how it affects the global insurance industry landscape. In a way, what are the key economic drivers that we have been speaking of? What is next? And how the economy affects the consumer behavior as well as insurance business activities. Please stay tuned and let's find out the growth potential in 2026.
Welcome the team lead client underwriting of PNC Swiss Reinsurance Asia. Please welcome Ms. Winnie Tan. A round of applause for her, please.
Good morning, everyone, and thank you for joining us at the International Insurance Symposium 2025. And thank you to OIC for this kind invitation for me to be here. My name is Winnie Tan from Swiss Reinsurance Asia, and I'm based in Singapore. I'm delighted to be here to share Swiss Re's latest perspectives on the global economy and how it influences the primary insurance markets. In addition, there are new and evolving risks that can change the insurance landscape. I will share these insights on these emerging risks so as to help businesses and insurers to better prepare for the future challenges. Swiss Re Institute launched our latest Sigma publication titled Shifting Sands just last week on global economic and insurance market outlook. So let me take you through some key insights from this report. So let's begin with the big picture. The global economic growth forecast for 2025 to 2027 has not significantly changed since a year ago, but there is a wide risk dispersion presenting higher chances of extreme outcomes to growth, inflation, and financial markets. We forecast the global real GDP growth of 2.5% in 2026 and 2.6% in 2027. There is little change from 2025, but below the 3.1% rate of the pre-pandemic decade. The outlook is a case of shifting sands when we have evolving political economy featuring heightened reliance on the industrial policies, elevated inflation, and looser fiscal and monetary policies. Stances are among other structural regime shifts taking hold over the longer term. This accommodation will cushion growth against greater trade frictions. Tariff impacts will play out unevenly across regions, but we believe that the US dollar standing as the global anchor will persist, and even more in the multipolar world. In the US, tariff changes have bent but not broken the trade global system. The tariffs are acting as a regressive tax, impacting low-income households the most, and uncertainty remains over future policy decisions. The Eurozone is set for an acceleration in growth, driven by domestic demand and public spending, while China's growth is slowing due to deleveraging and renewed trade tensions. So you may wonder, what about Thailand? For Thailand, inflation is the lowest rate of the region. This leads to the risk of lower interest rates in the near term. And related to this is the downside risk to Thailand's GDP growth as US tariffs start to bite and depress the regional and global export volumes. We observed that Thai exports did well year to date, but there may be an element of front-loading of shipments ahead of the tariffs, and the reverse is likely to be felt in the coming quarters. To summarize, steady cyclical outlook faces fragility. Structural imbalances will pose wider downside risks and impact financial markets and the global economy. Now let's turn to the insurance market outlook. In 2025, the global insurance premium growth slowed to the estimated of 3.1% after a decade high of 5.8% in 2024. Growth is expected to moderate further, averaging about 2.3% in 2026 and 2027 due to the softening of the property and casualty pricing cycles, especially in advanced markets. Structural factors remain supportive of long-term growth. Some of the factors are rising exposures to natural catastrophes, escalating liability costs, new risk pools from AI and technology, and expansionary fiscal and industrial policies. Global non-life premium growth is expected to hit a cyclical low in 2026, rising by just 1.7% in real terms from 3.8% in 2025, before recovering to about 2.5% in 2027, as growth returns to long-term pace. The use of the word premiums in this presentation references premium volumes, that is the total amount of premiums that an insurer writes in any one year. And the slowdown reflects to more competitive conditions from the hard market cycle, structural drivers like what I've mentioned just now, rising natural catastrophe exposures, escalating liability costs, and opportunities for investments in and on the operation of AI will likely provide support for premium growth over the medium term. Uncertainty around claims costs will be factored into loss modeling to protect the downside in pricing. Profitability will moderate but stay robust in our view, with non-life return on equity forecast at about 10.5% in 2026, above the cost of capital. And this is supported by long-dated bond yields remaining structurally elevated. Market dynamics indicate that underwriting margins will be set to narrow, but we expect them to stay positive at around 1%. After an interest rate-driven surge in 2023 and 2024 and a mild slowdown in 2025, we expect real global life premium growth to step up again in 2026 to 2027. The compound annual growth rate in 2026 is expected to be 2.5%, and this is slightly higher than the 2.2% in 2025. Demand is normalizing at above pre-pandemic levels as a transition to new growth equilibrium. Advanced markets are expected to drive growth via savings business, while rising incomes and financial deepening will boost premiums in emerging markets. We see total global life premiums at about $4.1 trillion by 2027, and this is about 44% of the global insurance market. Profitability will remain solid over 2026 to 2027, with structurally higher long-dated bond yields providing a tailwind. And we project the aggregate return on investment for major markets to rise about 20 basis points to 3.9% in 2026 and reach about 4% in 2027. And key structural risks like fiscal pressures and political uncertainty reinforce the need for risk-aware underwriting and asset liability matching. Let's look at some of the risks and opportunities for insurance companies. The structural regime changes or shifting sands cited in our Sigma report have important implications for insurers, both positive and negative. Growth opportunities include greater demand for savings, health, and longevity covers in aging populations, for commercial insurance in countries rebooting their industrial policies. and shift, for example, the fiscal policy expansion will boost insurance demands. But at the same time, the associated inflation factor will also see the claims cost rise. Geoeconomic fragmentation reduces risk diversification opportunities and complicates capital allocation. Insurers must balance new opportunities with the need for underwriting discipline and risk management. We have also considered alternative scenarios while downside risks dominate, such as a severe global recession or supply shocks. There is also upside potential, particularly from AI-driven productivity gains. And the long-term themes like trade tensions, fiscal policy, central bank independence, and demographics will continue to shape both the macroeconomic environment and the insurance markets through 2027 and beyond. To remain future-ready, insurers can consider alternative scenarios as the risks and structural shifts facing the global economy progresses, potentially reshaping the industry's future growth trajectory. For example, the US policy volatility, a sharp slowdown in the labor market, and disorderly AI-related financial market corrections can correct a recessionary scenario, testing insurance resilience through weaker premium growth, rising defaults, and insurance investment losses. This will drag on non-life premium growth and sector profitability, and also undermine the recovery of the life premium growth that we are expecting in 2026. Alternatively, further escalation in protectionism, geoeconomic fragmentation, and geopolitical conflicts will reignite supply-side shocks and trigger a stagflation scenario, stressing non-life underwriting performance by driving inflation and claims costs higher and weighing on real premium growth. So we encourage you to explore our Swiss Re's Sigma Explorer portal for on-demand access to Swiss Re's economic and insurance market data and research. Now I'll move on to the next section on emerging risk insights. So you may wonder, what is SONA? So this is a Swiss Re terminology. So it stands for Systemic Observation of Notions Associated with Risk. It is Swiss Re's process for identifying, assessing, and managing emerging risks, and experts across the company use a web-based platform to collect early signals of emerging risks. All the signals are assessed and prioritized by the foresight function of Swiss Re Institute, which works closely with topic experts from the company's different business areas. And the team serves as a catalyst for risk identification and assessment to define and implement recommendations in collaboration with the business. The findings are regularly shared internally and also summarized for external audiences, for example, the SONA 2025 report. So one thing first, as a definition, what are emerging risks? We define emerging risks as newly developed and changing risks that are difficult to quantify at present moment, but could have a major impact on the society and the industry. This year, the SONA report features 8 emerging risk themes and 5 structural risks. The emerging risk themes are what could be new and changing risks with both up and downside potential for insurers. The underlying structural risks which the insurers face already today and have the potential for significant negative future impact. Today, for the presentation, we'll focus on one longer-term risk theme, which is plastics, and a shorter-term risk theme on extreme heat. Plastics. can plastics lead to a new wave of litigation? Please have this question in mind as we go through the next few slides. When we talk about plastics, we look at them in three different categories. The first one being the general plastics that we see in our daily lives. Second one being microplastics, which are plastic particles less than 5 mm in size, and is increasingly found in our environment, example, in cosmetics, in clothing. The third category is nanoplastics, where plastic particles are less than 0.1 nm in size, which may be released into the environment directly or formed due to fragmentation of the larger particles. The United States produced 18% of global production of plastics in 2019, with a market share of $97.5 billion. Social costs of the type of plastic chemicals amount to 1.22% of the US GDP, which is a $249 billion bills for the healthcare system of the nation. The majority of this cost is arising as a result of PBDE exposure, with some others being from phthalate plastics and also PFAS. Don't worry if you don't remember all these different acronyms and what do they mean. The definitions are actually found at the bottom of the slide here. In Europe, the healthcare costs from PFAS across Europe estimate to be 52 to 84 billion euros annually. And settlements from PFAS litigation in the US are approaching $20 billion, while ground-up losses in the US from PFAS-contaminated drinking water and related environmental litigation could blow past $100 billion, according to various reports. The widespread use and poor disposal of plastics are driving an increase in litigation across different lines of business on the account of the potential harm that plastics and plastic particles cause, particularly in the US. Advanced scientific advances regarding causation and source attribution, as well as evolving legal frameworks, could spark an increase in claims against plastic producers, users, and waste managers for environmental and product liability. Insurers can also see a rising demand for pollution-related coverage amid tightening regulations. In life and health insurance, potential health effects from micro and nanoplastics could lead to increased morbidity risk and claims. Let's look at the potential insurance impacts in the different lines of business. Plastics will have become a major environmental and health concern. And from the insurance perspective, the earliest traction is likely to come from the liability class of business. For specialty lines of business, the projects to diminish or reduce plastic pollution, boost recycling, and provide alternatives may provide insurance opportunities. For casualty, producers, manufacturers and retailers may increasingly face liability for environmental impacts. Litigation costs may rise in cases around public nuisance, false labeling, or greenwashing claims, especially with regards to recycling or biodegradability. The increasing use of the term big plastic, which is a bit similar to big tobacco, highlights the litigation focus on the whole industrial sector. Also, waste management and recycling organizations, as well as water suppliers, can also become litigation targets. Claims costs around product liability could also rise. If causal relationship between the plastic particles and adverse health impacts could be established, higher claims in bodily injury, workers' compensation, and product liability lines can be expected. For life and health, claims impact from plastic particles on mortality and morbidity could become significant. The scale could be currently underestimated in the industry, in our view. Pollution by plastics can negatively impact property values and investments in water or the recycling schemes. Similarly, vested interests in plastics made from fossil fuels and waste disposal could raise sustainability and reputational concerns. But what could stakeholders do to reduce the exposure? Each participant in the plastic value chain could play a key role to reduce further environmental and food contamination. Plastic manufacturers could strive to reduce carbon dioxide emission and transit to recycled and circular plastics. Retailers could offer viable alternatives to plastic packagings and disclose the recyclability of their products. F&B manufacturers could ensure that their quality and risk management methods are suitable for mitigating microplastics exposure in food and beverages. Plastic is a key material in today's world, but it also contributes to the environmental pollution directly with high carbon dioxide emission along its life cycle. Reducing and finding alternatives to the use of plastics and improving its recycling are actions to mitigate and negative effects that this material brings with it. For insurance companies, what is important to bear in mind when insuring this risk? For now, a causal link to bodily injury is not yet established, but once established, could quickly expand the litigation. Bear in mind there's also other plastic-related scenarios, for example, carbon dioxide emissions and chemicals in plastics. Consider the differences in legislation in different jurisdictions. And the affected industries go beyond plastic producers. It may also include the packaging, tire, paint and cosmetic manufacturers. So now let's move on to the shorter term risk theme, extreme heat. The world is getting hotter, and this is something that every one of us is aware. 2024 was the hottest year, with many countries experiencing heat waves. Turning to Thailand, according to the World Bank report, between 1960 and 2000, Bangkok experienced 60 to 100 days per year where the temperatures exceeded 35 degrees Celsius. The report's advanced microclimate modeling forecasts that by the end of year 2100, Bangkok could see an additional 153 days with temperatures more than 35 degrees Celsius annually under a moderate global emission scenario. We have seen from news reports that in March 2025, Thailand reported temperatures hitting even 40 degrees Celsius. Also, heat stroke has killed about 61 people in Thailand in 2025, and that's more than the numbers in 2023, according to the Health Ministry. Extreme heat has wide-ranging impacts across multiple sectors, ranging from energy. For example, extreme heat increases electricity demand, stresses power grids, and reduces the efficiency of power generation and renewables. How it affects the transport sector. The heat damages roads, railways, and bridges, causing costly repairs and service disruptions. For telecommunication sectors, heat overheats the data centers and network infrastructure, risking outages and equipment failures. And for construction, extreme heat could accelerate material degradation and create structural vulnerabilities in buildings. The deep dive in the Swiss Re SONA report focuses on extreme heat events, specifically given the expectation that this will occur more frequently in the coming years. Extreme heat poses a growing threat to the insurance industry, with property, specialty, and life and health sectors most exposed. It increases the risk of electricity outages and wildfire risks, can cause damage and disruption to transport, water, and energy infrastructure, and driving up property and specialty insurance claims. In the life and health space, heat-related health impacts could increase medical, life, and workmen's compensation claims, particularly among the vulnerable and outdoor working populations. Extreme heat can put additional stress on healthcare systems. Liability exposures may also rise as employers and institutions face legal risks for failing to mitigate heat-related harms. So let's look at the potential impacts more deeply to some of the lines of business. While we see the impacts of extreme heat as being more immediate, long-term impacts may gradually increase as climates continue to warm. Heat-related impacts on infrastructure assets and damage to physical structures could lead to business disruption and property claims. Where wildfires are triggered, potential for property damage is significantly higher. And there can also be claims in engineering insurance on the account of inadequate heat-tolerant design of buildings and machinery. Crops and livestock losses could also result in rising claims in agriculture insurance. For casualty, more accidents at the workplace could be observed due to heat stress, rising claims for workers' compensation. A failure to provide adequate care and working environment could also lead to a rise in employer liability claims. For life and health, an uptick in morbidity and mortality, leading to higher medical and life claims. For financial markets, there could also be productivity losses in specific sectors, for example, agriculture and energy, in regions exposed to conditions of extreme heat that causes volatility in the financial markets. To sum up, insurers face diverging forces, from policy shifts and economic headwinds to rapid technological change. They must stay flexible with agile scenario planning to navigate these changes. Emerging risks carry both long and short-term impacts, illustrated by the challenges I've mentioned today, such as extreme heat and growing implications of plastic use. As such, insurers need to stay aware to actively manage this risk. So if you'd like to find out more about the topics in more details of what I've presented today, please refer to our Swiss Re Sigma report titled Shifting Sands, and also the SONA 2025 report, which you can find online. With this, I end my presentation. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Once again, a round of applause for Ms. Tan, please. Thank you so much. And here comes to the Q&A session. สำหรับท่านที่มีคำ
For those who have any questions, if you would like to ask Swiss Re, and you can scan the QR code, which is going to appear on the screen. We will have a QR code for you to scan to ask any questions that you may have, and then we will ask the following questions to Kun Vinitan from Swiss Re Insurance. And so if you think that you would like to raise your hand and can shoot your question. We will send you the microphone as well. And for those who are online participants, you can also type your question in the chat box as well, because we have heard very interesting information.
Our speaker, please raise your hand or scan the QR code to type in your question. For participants joining the seminar online, please feel free to scan the QR code displayed on the screen and type your question เอาละครับตอนนี้เดี๋ยวรอสักครู่
So let's wait a moment for the questions which are to be asked, and so please send your questions. This will be the way that we conduct our Q&A for all sessions. So after the presentation, we would give the opportunity for the participants to ask questions so that we can together build the insurance community and to also share knowledge and to share the experiences.
เอาละครับระหว่างรอ
While waiting, so we have some questions right here.
All right. This is the topic, right? Global market, economic drivers, and growth potential in 2026. I really want to ask something. How do you see insurance industry in Thailand from now on? What are challenges? What are the most significant challenges in your point of view?
I come from the PNC side, so I will focus on the non-life aspect. So for this coming 2 months, it's been quite quite volatile. I think for reinsurers dealing with the earthquake claims, I think also that's very much also that the insurance companies in Thailand are also grappling with how the settlement of the earthquake claims are finding a good estimate, right? And with the current, hopefully it has subsided floods in the southern areas. I think that's also something that as reinsurers are watching very closely as the key renewal period for 1st January 2026. It's ongoing very actively right now. So this is, I think, quite challenging as the frequency of all these events, they are not very big. But again, I think the increased frequency of these mid-severity events are more and more, particularly for floods because of climate change. And it's very difficult to estimate and give a good risk modeling. Though there are many vendors and many companies like insurance and reinsurance companies have different points of view. Yeah. So for me, I think that the key challenge for the non-life space is really the increased frequency of natural catastrophes.
All right, and we know that climate crisis is real tremendously, right? อย่างที่ทางคุณวินิตันพูดนะครับก็คือพูดถึงสถานการณ์
So she talked about the industry, insurance industry in Thailand, and especially in the southern region, we have flooding, and we have to look at the consequences, and we have to rethink about catastrophe and natural disasters in Thailand. It will be a challenge for our insurance industry.
Oh, all right. A catastrophe country from Swiss Re's perspective. Are we? What do you think?
From historical actual events compared to your neighbors, I think Thailand has been quite fortunate. In terms of if we look in the other perspective of like the current floods that's ongoing for Vietnam, they are hit on a every year basis. For Philippines, every year there's like 20 to 30 typhoons in a year. So for Thailand, I wouldn't say it's so much less catastrophe prone, but I think the emergence of the bigger and mid-sized flood events occurring over the span of the second half of the year has been quite rampant in the recent 3 to 5 years. We're seeing losses coming in for flood events much more. And of course, I mean, I need to speak about the earthquake, right? The earthquake scenario is a moderate risk, at least for us, the Swiss Re's perspective. However, I think like many reinsurers or insurance companies, the degree and the severity of like how this earthquake has impacted, particularly the residential and the condo segments, is unprecedented. I think no one was prepared, and no one, from the pricing perspective, coverage perspective, and also risk management perspective, I think that's maybe an area where all of us could learn from this event and also do better.
Alright คุณตันก็บอกจริงๆประเทศไทยปีนี้ก็
Actually, Thailand is faced with a lot of challenges from the disasters, but it's not just Thailand. The Philippines and Vietnam also face disasters as well, and this is something that we are closely monitoring. It is a challenge, and this is challenging for the businesses and residential areas. And I think that we can go for one or two questions.
Question. Or would you like to pick the
I
question
think
yourself?
I pick.
Sure, of course.
Right. I'll pick that. In your opinion, how would U.S. measures affect the global insurance market? I think what I've mentioned earlier in the presentation of the U.S. tariffs is that it will play out unevenly across the different regions, depending on the degree of tariffs of each country. But we believe the US dollar will actually, being quite strong, will actually cushion the impact over the term. And when we see tariff-related inflation, it's actually proven softer than feared for the US. And touching on inflation, I think the inflation trends are also diverging over regional levels. I think when US, like CPI, is about 3% year on year, whilst the Eurozone CPI is about 2% year on year. So I think that really has also that impact, other than the exports and also the demand that pushes on the industrial policy side. There's also tariff-related impact on inflation that one needs to consider. And that also has an impact to our insurance markets.
ครับก็เป็นปัจจัย
So the macroeconomic factors that we all know, the tariff from the US, and it actually it affect the export market. And US is the top exporters for all countries, and so this will impact the pricing and inflation. Of course, it will impact the consumers' ability to buy insurance and also the investment capability of the insurance company.
Products for P&C industry. What do you think?
Can I ask the person who posted this question, what do you mean by S-curve?
New things, new advantages, new competitive edges.
New innovative products.
New innovation, such as?
Right. I think it's really sort of like what is catering to the current demands and the future trends going forward. A couple of what we have seen more clients asking around parametric insurance. That's also of how they look at how insuring natural catastrophes from a different perspective, and also from the affordability perspective. I think that's also being increasingly requested that companies are looking to explore further. Other new products, I think that's really sort of also what we look at the emergence of AI. From the AI perspective, there could be also increasing risks that's not considered. For example, in terms of the liability exposures, whether in terms of the current wording and current product coverages are not really catering for the exposures for the future from AI or from cyber threats, for example. So we do expect to see new products coming in that either caters for covering these exposures more on an affirmative basis, or making some tweaks to product coverages as the consumer demands changes and evolves.
ครับก็ตอบค่อนข้างชัดเจนหนีไม่พ้นสิ่งที่เป็น
So this has to do with the technology and innovation, and this is to predict the future natural disaster so that it's actually responding to the consumer's need. And also we can use AI to calculate and use financial innovation or insurtech to issue new products that meets the demand.
Applause for Winnie Tan from Swiss Reinsurance. And now may I invite Dr. Nirat Saptuitam to present the token of appreciation to our speaker. ดรนิรัตน์ทรัพย์ทวีธรรมครับผู้ช่วยเลขาธิการสายสถาบันวิทยาการประกันภัยรัฐ
The Assistant Secretary General of the Advanced Insurance Institute, please present the token of appreciation to Ms. Winnie Tan.
เรียบร้อยนะครับ ขอบพระคุณครับ ขอเสียงปรบมือให้
And thank you very much. Another big hand for both of our speakers and our guests. Thank you very much, Winnie Tan from Swiss Reinsurance and Dr. Nirat. And that was just the first keynote. And I believe that it helps you see the overview and the outlook for the global insurance market and bring it back to Thailand. But what makes it even more interesting is because it has a lot to do with biodiversity. And this topic is named Health and Insurance, the triple connection shaping our future. And how these three triangles connect with each other. And let us take you to our expert, our next speaker, who will show you how biodiversity degradation relates to human rights, as well as all living things in the ecosystem and how it affects insurance business performance. Please give a big round of applause to our expert from the Department of Marine Science, Chulalongkorn University, Assistant Professor Vacharapong Hongchamratsin. The floor is yours.
สวัสดีครับผม
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. I am Vacharapong Hongchamratsin. I am a biologist, and today I am honored to share with you about the biodiversity and how it relates to our health and the insurance industry. And today, I have to say that I am not from your industry. Some of the terms might not be accurate, so please help me get through this. So my apologies for any mistakes. And first of all, to begin with, I would like to share with you this picture. So I believe that some of you are quite familiar with these pictures. They were appeared on the news, and these are the changing natural disaster. Since when we were young, we know that these natural disasters, including wildfire and hurricanes, floods, and even extreme drought, has become more severe. And I believe that it is clear to everyone. We can see this on the news every day. US, Australia, China, Japan, even Thailand. Things are getting worse, and we are being affected by the natural disasters more and more. Undeniably, if you look at the science-based evidence, including geology, climate, and other climate-related evidence, we have found that these natural disasters are the result of the climate change. At present, we have become more aware, and the climate problems and climate change are no longer just environmental issues. We have become more aware that it has a lot to do with insurance and insurance system. Now, climate change, global warming, all of these fancy climate terms, how it affects claims, premiums, solvency, and the question is, many of you have heard about this, many of you are aware, but the biggest question is, do you believe that it really affects your businesses? And the reason why I put it this way is because sometimes environmental issue is still very far-fetched. And some of you might think that, hey, the flooding is down south, we are still in Bangkok. It doesn't affect Bangkok, isn't it? Or sometimes the wildfire is occurring more and more in Australia. How are we affected by that? And even the rising sea level, and actually many households have been affected. You have seen that in the news, but many of you, based on my observation and survey, many people are aware of this situation, but they don't feel that it's important to them. And sometimes they don't even know what's going on. So let me say, even though it seems like these are so far away from your daily lives, but one day it will come back to you, whatever you are doing, and that includes your insurance business. Let me share with you another case study. Let's say 3 case studies, and this is very recent on the news, and all the news channels are talking about the Hat Yai flood crisis. This is very clear because one way it's because of the government management, but the most important part is the heavy rainfall. We also have numbers of scientific data that indicates the cause, such as it came from the climate change, like El Nino, which relates to La Nina, and La Nina cause heavy rainfalls, and including rain bombs. And there are many climate activities that we are still debating, but it doesn't matter what was the cause, but all of those are being affected by the climate change. And that means climate change caused all of this. It's the cause. And the problem is nowadays we cannot really stop climate change. As you know, climate change is not something that we can just say that we can reduce carbon emission and everything will get better. Nobody can guarantee that. But what we can guarantee and what we can do is to prevent it from getting worse. And that's what we can do. We cannot really change the nature, but we can change ourselves. And this is some of the natural disaster that we have seen recently on the news. Now, there are many other disasters which seems not so relevant to us, but it's actually very close to us. And here, this is the bleaching coral reef. Some of you might have done some diving trips with your family. It was very beautiful when you see the coral reef under the sea. The picture on the left-hand side, actually a normal situation, but after the sea temperature raised or global warming, what follows? The coral reef will become bleached. It will turn whitened. And let me share with you some of the scientific reasons. So it is a living creature. When it was born as a coral reef, it was already white. But when it grew up, numbers of algae will be deepened on each other surface, and that brings color to the corals. So the algae doesn't just bring color to the coral reef, but this coral reef is actually built food and develop a very important nutrient for the coral itself, thanks to the algae. But once the temperature raised, the algae has become stressed. Imagine you are sitting in this room, right? And all of you, let's say you and your family, or maybe just 2 of you, and the temperature keeps rising in a very small room in your apartment, you will start becoming more frustrated, and one of you will have to leave the home because you cannot withstand that. And the same applies. Imagine they have to cohabitate with the algae, but once the temperature rises and it becomes more stressed, and the algae release itself from the coral, and the coral will become bleached. And why do we have to care? What's the concern about bleaching coral reef? Because coral is a living thing under the sea, and it builds up a very big kingdom under the sea because all the living creatures in the sea need to reside in the coral reef. But if the coral reef disappears, it will affect the whole marine ecosystem. And that also affects fisheries. Some of the fishermen might not be able to catch any fish, or maybe they can catch less and less fish. And we found that the percentage of the reefs bleached has become escalated in the past 10 years. And certainly as a marine biologist, we found that bleaching reefs happens since millions of years ago. It's not something new. But what's new is this living creature has adapted to a point where human being has utilized more natural resources, especially from the coral reefs, and it affected the reefs bleached. And once it become bleached, all the business, which has a lot to do with the coral reef, has been affected. And this is one of the reasons why we have to think about the bleaching reef. This is actually the global trend. It's not just a country, specifically Australia or Japan or any other country. Many countries are being affected by the bleached reefs. And this is very popular now. Since 10 years ago, we have become more familiar with PM 2.5, and PM 2.5 is, you might believe that it's just some of the dust particles, it came naturally, but these particles actually are being affected by the climate change too. If you notice, when the temperature cools down, we will see more PM particles. When we were young, we might call it fogs, but we now know that it's not fog. It's another kind of smog called PM 2.5, and it severely affects human health. What makes it very sad is because we don't know when it started, but most medical institutions cannot really explain how it will affect our body, but it will. But because we don't have such know-how, we know that it can be dangerous, but we don't know how to do it and how even it affects our body, and that becomes a very big problem. All of these three cases were some examples of the catastrophe, including flood and bleached coral reef and even PM 2.5. The biggest question is, should we care, especially as a business company? It doesn't seem so relevant to our business, and some of you might say yes, some of you might say no, but the question is how? So let's say we have flooding, we have coral bleaching, and we have pollution or the particles. Now, what happens after the flood? We know that there's a big flood down south and numbers of people lost their life. Many business, including Kim Yong Market, was practically disappear. This is one of the impacts from the flooding, and that will affect the insurance claim because of the damage to their property or their health or the effects from this disaster. So those are some of the impacts from the flooding. And in the second case, coral bleaching. And what does it have to do with insurance? Bleaching coral might affect decrease in tourists. And ladies and gentlemen, you know that Thailand, tourism is one of the main pillars of Thai economy. And bleached coral, ladies and gentlemen, it's not just Thailand. It happens across the world, US and Australia. If you have heard about the Great Barrier Reef, they have a very extended coral reef corridor, and it affects the tourism. Once they have less tourists, people lost lots of opportunity, including the local businesses. And if the business has their insurance with you, some of you might receive more claims from them. And pollution itself, it affects your health directly, as you know. Our health, many aspects of our health, you know why pollution is scary. We cannot tell how it will affect your body. For example, when you think about the air, you are breathing in and out every day, and you are not even aware how severe it affects your health. Think about one thing that you might forget. Nowadays, after COVID, when we eat outside, when we sit down on the table, the waiter used to spray alcohol spray on your hands and on your table and wipe it away, right? Don't you know the chemicals they were using? If you inhale lots of alcohol chemical, it affects your lungs, right? And each of you might have different level of sensitivity. But if I inhale that alcoholic spray every day, days in and days out, some of you might not feel anything, but some of you might get sick. This is some of the effects that you might not be aware, because it doesn't happen to everyone, but it affects your health. So it doesn't matter if it's flood or coral bleach or even pollution. All of these affect insurance directly. And on the top of that, why do we have to care about climate change? We haven't gone to the biodiversity yet. Let's stop at climate change first, because at this point, many agencies already started setting a new direction for companies and entities, including insurance companies, to be more aware and to start reporting the risk. I mean, your risks on how the climate change and other nature-related risks affects your business. and what are the risks or the negative impacts that might comes with these related climate or nature related, we call it task force on climate related financial disclosures or nature related financial disclosure. And we have learned about the climate change, but we have combined them with nature and biodiversity in these reports too, not just the climate related financial disclosure. But in brief, these reporting includes 4 key aspects. Starting with governance, we have to start thinking about ourselves, what we can do and what we should do, and then that should lead you to the strategies. How are we going to evaluate these impacts for your business, or how climate change affect your business, and then the downside risk for your companies. So let's say you might suffer from decreased productivity because of climate change, or you might cause negative impacts towards the environment. And lastly, it should be measurable and traceable, and that goes with the metrics and targets. And many countries already started these reports, and it has become quite a trend nowadays. This is just an introduction. I believe that some of you are already aware about these, but I just want to bring you to this point, how climate change affects your business. Simply say, we used to say that climate problem leads to unstable business, but now we know that it's more than that. Climate problem affects biodiversity, and in the end, it eventually will affect your business because your business will become not so sustainable. But what do we mean by biodiversity? I have heard about this word since I was very young, and when I grew up, I got a chance to learn more about biodiversity, and we found that from the science perspective, we talk about biodiversity for a long time, but for business, you have just started. Included maybe thanks to UN and World Bank, we have become more aware that if you have less biodiversity, it will affect your economic stability. Now, what do we mean actually by biodiversity? And this is biodiversity. Bio, as you know, bio is biology, diversity is diversity. So this is how diverse the biology is. Biodiversity is when we talk about every living things and even non-living things that exist around us. And that includes the number of insects in this room, and that includes how many species of the living things we can see in Thailand. Those are some of the biodiversity. Biodiversity has 3 levels. First, we call it genetic diversity. This is on the top of the list. Normally, we used to talk about this in, the first year in the university, but I just want to share with you a quick concept. First, genetic diversity. As the name suggests, we are talking about how diverse that living being in terms of genetics. Like in this picture, these are dogs, different breeds of dogs, but actually they are from the same root. I believe that you can guess all dogs in this world, it doesn't matter, poodle, Labrador, Retriever, all of them are the same, which means they can mate and they can give birth to their siblings. But because they look very different, they may have diverse genetics, and that's why they look very different. And just like all of you, we all human being, we are all living things, not just human being. We are all living things. We have different looks because of we have genetic diversity. This is one of the layer of biodiversity. This is the first layer, we call it genetic diversity. So we start with the genetic diversity, and then the second layer is, okay, this is just for a species, right? So one species, different looks, this is called genetic diversity. Second, species diversity. So how diverse the species are, which means in this world or in your environment, how many species, how many different species are there? That's called species diversity. And the third one is called ecosystem diversity. This is where these animals reside, starting from the ice cap, like the tundra, and then the forest, and then the desert, and then etc. These are where these living creatures live, or ecosystem diversity. So let me recap. Once again, we have genetic diversity, or how diverse the genes are, and species diversity, and ecosystem diversity. The question is, why do we have to look at 3 layers? Because when we want to conduct a research or even to plan something, we need to think about the layer or the level. Do we want to focus on the genetic level, like the same species but different genetics? Let's say we are talking about maybe nationality or race. Thai people, Chinese people, Asian people, European people, these are so-called genetic diversity. So same species but from different looks or different backgrounds or different genetics. Second level is species diversity. At species level, we study about different species. Maybe you can talk about you want to do some reforestation project. We want to increase the number of species. So you need to understand what living creatures can live in that kind of forest. That's a species diversity. And the last layer is the ecosystem diversity. We have to think about the whole ecosystem that will be the place where those living creatures can reside, like a tropical forest, like the desert, like the sea, deep sea, shallow sea, coral reefs, and etc. Those are ecosystem diversity. So just to show you some quick view on different layers of biodiversity. So maybe in the future you can come back to reference when you think about biodiversity. These are anything and everything in the ecosystem, all the species, all the genetics in the ecosystem. Now, to show you a better or closer look, or to give you a better understanding why it affects us. So this is maybe one of your lunch. I don't know, the most popular dishes around. So more species means the more species you have, it means you have more diversity. With more diversity, you have more stability. And how? This is the famous grapao fried rice, which consists of pork meat, minced pork meat with eggs and rice and maybe cucumber and holy basil and garlic. So this is what we add to the dish. And basically this is what we need to cook up a dish of gapao khai dao on rice. But one day, let's assume maybe the swine business was ruined, maybe it's been affected by ASF, and maybe there's a severe drought. It's also suffer from other fever and they cannot produce. So let's say you cannot grow cucumber and holy basil because of the severe drought. So let's say we only have eggs, rice, and garlic. We don't have pork, cucumber, and holy basil. We cannot really make this grapao with minced pork because we don't have pork meat. But because we have enough biodiversity, we can replace pork meat with something like maybe chicken. You can replace cucumber with corn, for example, or maybe you can use Swiss basil instead of holy basil. You know that the taste will be very different, but at least you can survive on this dish. It's a very good dish, possibly, but what I'm trying to explain is by having more biodiversity, it gives you more options. It gives you more choices, just like you go for a shop. You want a shop with lots of assortments. You want to look at the products. Maybe if you look at these living creatures with the products, the more species means the more choice you can choose from. Now, with lower biodiversity, in a certain place where there's lower biodiversity, to give you a perspective, it's just like you have many companies, but one day, only one company rules over the land. But if this company goes down, if this business goes down, it affects the whole country. So let me share with you an example. The giant panda. Panda is a very interesting creature because they are very picky eater. Most of the cases, they only eat bamboo leaves. Sometimes they eat other leaves or maybe even eggs or rodents, but very rarely. They only predominantly feed on bamboo. But if bamboo tree disappear, they will become extinct automatically. Right? So to give you some example, that's why biodiversity is very important. It relates to many things. So let's follow up with the panda example. We are talking about biodiversity and it seems so far away, right? As I said at the beginning, but let's have a look how biodiversity affects our health. And I have some case studies for you. Case study 1. Most people don't really see how biodiversity relates to their health. And let me share with you some example. The case study that I used to talk to my friends in the United States, it is one of the disease called Lyme disease.
โรคนี้นะครับยังไม่ระบาด
So luckily we don't see a lot of cases in Thailand. Luckily, not yet. not yet in Thailand. But Lyme disease was caused by this living creature. This is called a black-legged tick. Uh, it's tick in English, but in Thai language we have many names for it. But anyway, it's a very small creature, right? It's very tiny. It's visible but very small. But now, what does it have to do with ticks? Actually, it's not a scary creature. It can jump on you, maybe a living creature, and they just want to eat your blood. Only a few droplets of your blood. But the biggest issue is in the United States, this kind of tick, it is a carrier of certain bacteria. It's called Borrelia, and Borrelia causes Lyme disease. So if you go hiking or trekking, in the United States, lots of people like to go hiking. Whenever you go into the mountains sometime, these little ticks might jump onto you and they start biting without you are being even aware that it's on yourself. But when it bites, it passes the bacteria into your bloodstream after it bites, and the bacteria will live in you and it causes you lots of sickness. And some of the symptoms when you trek, you might see this kind of patches of redness. It will look like a big red circle if you see something like this, and if you travel to other country, you can assume that you might catch Lyme disease because you have trekked and you got bitten by the ticks, but it causes this kind of big red circles on your skin after it bites you. But we found that one day there was a big escalation in the Lyme disease in the US without any reason at all. We know that it came from the ticks, right? The tick bites you, but we don't know why the number just jumped up immediately. And that goes to the biologists like us to find out why. And we found that.
And then we found that how this tick reproduce and why are they everywhere. And so we have biologists studying about this disease, and we found that so it starts with this tick, and the tick has this germs and bacteria, and so it also goes and jump to other animals like squirrels and lizards. And then when you trek or walk into the forest or hike, when you see squirrel or rodents, you like to go and feed them or something like that, because sometimes hairy animals, if they are wild, I recommend you not to go near them. Otherwise, the germs will be passed to you more easily that way. And so the life cycle of this tick is like this. And so sometimes you walk in there, the tick jump on you. And the question is, why do they have so many people with this disease? And we found that this is the number one suspect. This is a rat that lives in that area, in that forest. This rat, we found that this rat is a carrier of the disease. They would have a lot of ticks, and so when this rat goes to your dog or come close to you or your dog, the tick will jump to you, and then the disease will be spread to you. And then the question is, why does the population of this rat increase so drastically? And we found that it's because of this. Because of deforestation. So if the forest is deforested, there are going to be more rodents. But why? So according to the theory, what we learn is that this is habitat fragmentation. It means that the environment is fragmented. And for example, we had a forest and there's deforestation, and so the forest is divided into two, and then you build a road in between them. And so in the perspective of human, you just think that, oh, it's okay, we just built a road across this forest. You can still see the forest, but little did you know that when you build that road, there is a fragmentation of the habitat of these animals. And so this actually endangered some animals. And so if you see this picture, you can see that in the middle there are some dogs, some bear there. But when you cut or fragment this habitat, what happened is that the predator, the high level predator, the wolf and the bear is gone. But there are also an increase of some other animals, and you can see that the decrease in high-level predators, be it the wolf or the bear, it actually leads to a higher amount of other species, and that's the problem, because when that rodents increase in number, there are also a spread of that disease more as well. But why do we have to care about this, right? And the problem is this disease, the Lyme disease, it's or chronic Lyme. The disease doesn't kill you. So if you have the disease and you die, you can claim the insurance, but it doesn't kill you. So it means that people who have this disease will have, you know, small illnesses. For example, you're having pain here and there, and they would claim the insurance the whole life. And so there's a long-term treatment expenses that is incurred. They have to go to the hospitals pretty often, and the insurance companies have to keep paying them. And so this is something that I believe the insurance system do not like. These chronic diseases, something that doesn't kill you and keeps patients going back to the hospitals. And so if you don't understand the ecosystem and you think that building a road wouldn't do anything, but deforestation in that area actually increase the rodents there, and there's more transmission of the disease. And so that's just an example. And there are a lot of case studies in Thailand for malaria and also dengue fevers, and this is because of the abnormality in the amount of the mosquitoes population. And so this is how biodiversity relates to health. And so the second case study, and so this is about property and casualty insurance. And you can see when you go to places in Thailand, when you go and do your CSR activities, planting mangrove forests, how is that relevant to the insurance business? Mangrove forest, they have this one tree. They're actually having a lot of trees, these mangrove forests, because they have the roots that they have air roots. And so the special part of the mangrove is that it can actually prevent or help alleviate the impact of the storm. And so when there's a storm, the mangrove forest will help prevent the destruction from the storm into the city. And so this is an example. When there's a wave, when we have forests, mangrove forests, they absorb this wave energy, and so the habitat behind the mangrove forest will not be as much impacted. And so in a number of places where there are mangrove forests, we found that they don't have it anymore because there are business operations there, there are people building resorts there, and so the mangrove forest is gone. And because of the climate change, there's higher level of the sea level, and then the mangrove forest is gone. And so what happens? So there is a study report which reports that if we have the mangrove forest, we would be able to prevent 65 billion US dollars of loss. So it means that when we have this mangrove forest, it helps reduce the natural disasters that result from floods and storm. And so this is the typhoon in Philippines in 2013. It's Haiyan typhoon. And so after this typhoon, there's a lot of destruction in the city, and we found that there were the mangrove forest there, but in less amount now. And so this is to show you that the city is actually impacted because the loss of mangrove forest. There's no more natural barriers, and so therefore more severe impacts to the city. And so case study 3 on biodiversity and business interruption. And this is a very high profile case in America, almonds and bees. So bees are very important because they help pollinate. And so almond is something that people consume a lot, and almonds are you can consume in the almond seeds, or it can be hulled into flour, and in different forms you can consume this almond. And also it's an ingredient in some other products as well. But the bees that is pollinating, when you go and buy fruit juice, and you see the bees, these bees are not from Thailand. They are from Europe, and they were imported in the era of King Rama VI. And so these bees are very competitive, and so it actually killed all the domestic bees species in the country, and so there's less biodiversity. And so now we perhaps have 20 species of bees. It means that if these imported bees are very good and it dies, no no other species can actually help pollinate. And so this is what happened to America. They used the bees from Europe to pollinate, but one day that species of bee got infected, so they got bee mites, and so it killed these bees, and then when they die, no other species of bee can help the farmers pollinate, and so it impacts the business quite a lot. And so that's the example of how there is a loss in the biodiversity and how it affects the business. And here, cocoa, and you can see that cocoa requires a lot of different insects to pollinate, and you know that the current climate change situation actually impact the amount of cocoa production because it's hotter, and secondly because the insects that help pollinate has become less. And so cocoa, just like almond, we can see that it is used in a lot of other products as ingredients. And the problem is that these two case studies, both are plants, and we found that the number of pollinators and wild bees are also decreasing. And according to a lot of studies, we find that each year you can see that the wild bees are decreasing in their amount, and then we found that it's linked to the production of the business products and also agricultural products as well. And so, of course, insurance companies are impacted because there would be filing that there's business interruptions, and there may be some subsidy required, and therefore there's a lot of claims being filed, and so the insurance business will be impacted later on. And so if you change the perspective, you can look at biodiversity as an insurance partner as well. And let's see, if we look at them as partner, what would happen? So if we look at this mangrove forest as our partner, and I'm not saying that you can go plant the mangrove forest and keep planting, but I mean, when planting the forest actually doesn't really make sense, because if you leave the area just like that, it will grow. And what we can do is to educate the local people to take care of the mangrove forest, because it will help reduce the wave energy when the storm comes, and it can save the claims, the casualty claims. And secondly, the coral reefs, if you have them, it will attract the tourists, and at least there would be more travel insurance bought. And or the forestation or forest conservation of the existing forests will help prevent landslides. And this is very important because many countries, when they deforest their forests, there is no roots of the plants to hold on to the soil. And so when there's climate change, there's a lot more landslides. And lastly, wetlands. So these area, you can see that it's kind of like Hat Yai district incident, because there's like a dip in the middle, and so when water floods, when there's more water, it floods. And so wetlands help absorb flood waters, and so when there's floods, when you have this wetland, the water will go into this basin, and it will slowly goes to the stream, to the ocean. So this basin is very important because it's a natural reservoir. And in the past, we didn't know about this, and we destroyed it, and so we have less of this water reservoir. And sometimes we build things there, and when the rain comes, the flood also comes. And so you can see that when we view biodiversity as our partners, it will actually benefit the industry, because restoring ecosystems is perhaps cheaper than paying out claims. And just imagine that today you are having a lot of claims, and if you prevent the incident from happening, you perhaps would have to pay less claims. And so, what about how can the insurance companies do, or what can we do or lead in helping with the biodiversity problems? And so there are a lot of sector involved. The first one is underwriting and pricing. You may offer special premiums to businesses or people who work on sustainability, and you perhaps have seen this concept before. Or secondly, the product innovation or coming up with new products. You can partner with some companies who have the campaigns to help conserve the environment or to study about biodiversity. And so that's the second part. The third part is investment. You may start thinking about what kind of investment decisions do you want to make. You can invest in the more green or environmental friendly companies and or CSR activities. Of course, doing CSR doesn't mean that you go and plant mangroves, but it means that when you invest in if you invest in education about this, it's very important. When I conducted my survey in my research, we assume people that they know already, but they don't. Very few people know about biodiversity, and it's a buzzword that people talk about, but when we dig deep down in details, not a lot of people know about it. And so we may have to start thinking about educating people first, because every baht invested in the biodiversity related business will actually provide you some returns in the long term. So it's a long-term investment. And lastly, healthy ecosystems can reduce claims. And from your insurance company, healthy people can also reduce claims as well. And so Healthy Planet secures long-term stability of the insurance industry, and it allows the industry to be sustainable. And I'd like everyone to look at this message, and you can see that in the future the insurance companies will not just insure people, but it will insure nature, because the nature protects us. And so that's pretty much it. And if you have any questions, you can email me at my contact details. So thank you so much, Dr. Wacharapong. So this is an opportunity for everyone to scan the QR code, and this is the QR code for his contact details. So you can email him to talk to him and communicate with him directly. And you have an IG. Okay, so it's win.biologist. This is his handle in Instagram. And so after this, we would like to invite everyone to send your questions to ask him, because if you said that if the nature can be here, we will be here as well. So without the nature, without the world, we cannot exist. And so please show the QR code for Dr. Wacharapong. And at the moment, if anyone has any question, please raise your hand. We'll pass the microphone to you. This is Dr. Wacharapong Hongsamrasin from Chulalongkorn University. So he talked about biodiversity, and this is a big issue. And as you mentioned earlier about Lyme disease and the diseases that has not yet been found in Thailand. And so it is possible that we will encounter unprecedented or unseen diseases. Yes, and this will be linked to climate change, because some places used to be warm, and when it gets colder, the animals will flee to other places. For example, China, it used to be colder, right? And then now it gets warm, the animals will flee to the North Pole, or vice versa. So when the animals move here and there, it actually impacts the transmission of diseases. And so and you may see some animals that you had not seen before at a moment in time. And so those who are participants from the insurance industry, you can also submit your questions. And so my question is that if I'm an insurance company and after listening to you and we know that this is going to be impacting us, so as an insurance company, what should I tell my team to think or foresee in the future? So what do we have to do, right? So because I'm not working in this sector, but I think that you have to start learning first. You have, because I found that after discussion, a lot of people only understand very superficially about biodiversity, and so when you don't understand it in depth, it's really hard to scale up. And as an insurance company, you can partner with academic institutions or people with knowledge. You don't have to start all over, and you can think about the risk. And we mentioned about risk management that is being done, and you can think about the risk that is borne by your company and and your client. Because now, if I were to say something, it's very broad. Biodiversity is not only linked to health, but to business, food, and tourism. And so I can't really give you one definite answer, but I can give you case studies. And so we have to have more awareness and more study about this. Yes. And so while waiting for questions to come in, of course, in the insurance business, we have the people who are insurer, and also the insurer use the premiums to invest in their portfolio as well. And so if there is any mechanism, or if you were to promote any mechanism or financial products to help this climate change, biodiversity issue, or sustainable businesses, or to fund your research, what do you think it should be? Yeah, it should be that way. I mean, when we talk about green funds, we use the funding to invest in ESG related matters, but actually the body of knowledge that we have right now is coming from other countries. We have very limited amount of knowledge in Thailand, and so we apply these knowledge in Thailand. Some cases it's applicable and some not. And so the important thing is that we have to have our own knowledge. And when that incident happens, we have to do something. So the body of knowledge on ecosystem and biodiversity is very limited, to be honest. So the science and biodiversity knowledge in Thailand should be expanded. And so coming to the questions, so looking at the flooding situation in the southern region of Thailand, where there's a lot of water coming into the city area, although it's already dried, is that really impacting biodiversity? Actually, in the past, the southern area, we think that it's a flash flood, so it's a natural disaster. But now it's actually in the news because it happens in the city area. And so how is that impacting biodiversity? But usually in this world, we have certain disasters that happen naturally, and it's important. For example, wildfire, flood, flash flood. When these two happens, we think that it shouldn't happen, but actually the nature designed this wildfire to happen. Otherwise, there would be no new trees. And also flash flood too. When the flooding happens, it floods the animals there, and there would be new creatures being born. And so that's a natural disaster. And so how do we prevent this impact from affecting us? Of course, this will reduce the biodiversity in the beginning first, but it will increase later on. So you have to adjust to a new mechanism, to a new normal. Yes. So the biodiversity issue in Thailand, which issue you think is the urgent issue that has high impact and we have to handle immediately? So the urgent matter, right? Which I think that for me, as academia, I think that everything, biodiversity, climate change, they are urgent, but there's so much we can do. What we can do is that we can stop making more losses. And from the past research, sometimes you see deforestation within 1 year, and you think that planting new trees within 3 years, 5 years, 7 years, it's not going to come back, these trees. And sometimes there are certain things that exist for thousands of years, hundreds of years, and you expect it to come back in 3 to 5 years. It's not happening. So first we have to educate the business operators about things that they do not have, that they shouldn't be doing, but we have to stop what we are doing first. We have to ensure sustainable use of whatever we have first. And so this is a part. So when we do CSR, we think about repair, but we cannot repair or revert anything back. We have to step back and think about what you are doing, what you have to stop doing, and how can you have alternative way to utilize what you have so that they can coexist, so that they can actually function and play a role in their ecosystem. So thank you. And deforestation today doesn't mean that you can revive what used to be there for hundreds of years in the near term. No, you cannot do that. And so one more question. Here. So let me go ask this one first. So in the temperate zone, do we see more diseases when there is a movement of animals? Yes, of course. In the temperate zone, in the tropical zone, the dengue fever comes from mosquitoes, and they can grow well in hot weather, right? When you sleep and there's mosquitoes in your room, and if you turn your aircon to 16 degrees, the mosquito will be gone. They will just hibernate, they won't move. But when the world is hotter, and for example the upper part of China, when it's warmer, more insects will be reproduced. And so when the temperature is higher, then yes, of course, there would be more species, and then we'll find different species in different area. And so we find some maggots in certain area that is being imported from China to the US and to other areas. Yes, and that's what. So this black chin tilapin, yeah, and we think that they are destroying the ecosystem, right? So as I said, sometimes the problem already happened. Trying to fix the problem is, well, you don't try to eliminate them, of course. And in my opinion, you cannot just eliminate them out of the ecosystem. There are a lot of different animals that is similar to this black chin tilapin. So there are certain species that never existed in Thailand before, but when they came, they destroyed all this ecosystem that we had. But in the past, we don't have this information. But so how can we fix this problem? This is not an environment problem, because when it's already there, it's there, but it's actually impacting the business. The people who do aquaculture, they found this problem. They have to fix this problem. If they don't eliminate this black chin tilapin, then it will impact them. It's kind of like you're trying to make salt with sugar, and you're asking someone to separate it, and it will take a lot of time, and it will cost a lot to do so. And similar to this is the human problem. We say that we cannot sell the shrimps because shrimps all die, but you have to think of alternative instead of just eliminating this black chin tilapin. So please give it back to Dr. Wacharapong. So I would like to ask the Assistant Secretary General of the Advanced Insurance Program to present the token of appreciation to Dr. Wacharapong Khom Jamrapsin, please. Thank you so much. Please give it up to Dr. Wacharapong and Dr. Virat for presenting the token of appreciation from the OIC. And so this is just our half morning of the International Insurance Symposium 2025, and now it's time for us to have a lunch break. And so I'd like to invite all the on-site participants to go to Cuisine Unplugged on G floor for lunch. And So it's cuisine unplugged on G floor, and please have lunch then. And for press, please go to Dawn room in the second floor for lunch. We have 1 hour for lunch. We have 1 hour for lunch, and let's meet again at 13 hours at this ballroom. And the presentation on in the afternoon session will mainly be conducted in English. For those who are interested to get a translation headset, please contact the registration table. And there are activities outside. We have photo booths that can record the slow motion video, and it's actually very cool, just like an Oscar event that we see the same thing. And so please save the clip and share it on your social media. And we have exhibitions as well to share with you the mission, background, history of the advanced insurance programs, and on the way forward to create insurance community, which is the key of our symposium today. And so please attach the hashtag IIS2025, hashtag IIS2025, and then we will come back after lunch. Thank you.